Welcome to another episode of Wellness with EAC. My name is Nicole Guanzura, and I'm so glad you tuned in to this episode. I am so excited. If you are new, hello, nice to meet you. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm so glad you decided to tune into another episode. Every single week on this podcast, we're talking about career wellness, our faith journeys, and everything in between. Every other week, you're going to see you and I are chatting one on one on a solo episode, talking about the things you care about. I'm talking about things that I'm learning about or experiencing in the world of career wellness. And then on the weeks in between, I bring in guests. And these guests are talking about their experiences. They are coming from all different walks of life. And I will tell you a couple of reasons why I bring on guests. One, I'm a curious human, and I'm sure you are too. I want to be able to humanize the experience, the person behind the title you see on social media, the profile you'll see on social media, because sometimes our perception isn't always reality. You don't really know what that person's journey has been to get to where they are. So that's one of my main reasons. And the second is I want you to be able to learn from this person's story. Do you align with it? Are there some things you deeply resonate with? Or maybe there's some things you think about and say, you know what? Maybe I don't want my journey to go in that direction. I actually don't want to do that, right? You're free to make that choice. And the third thing is any guest that comes on the show has been pre-vetted. I don't have anyone on the show that is going to turn around and give you a different experience from what you've seen right here, right? That's my promise to you. And today's guest is absolutely incredible. I have the one and only Amy Sanders on my show today. She is going to be talking to you about her journey, where she's been, where she's going right now. You may be tuned in already to her Thrive Her podcast already and checking in, tuning in. Maybe you're coming over from her podcast, or you have been one of her clients. She's going to tell you a little bit more about her work. But what I want to shout out about Amy is that she is someone who really strives to be an inspiration, an example of what's possible for women. She's living it in her true authenticity, y'all. There's no made up numbers over here. What you hear from her is truly her experience. And what I also appreciate about Amy is that she speaks up and she speaks her truth. And in addition to everything you're going to hear, I want you to keep this lens. She is a mom and a stepmom of seven, y'all. Seven. So, whatever she's saying and how she got it done, just remember she's a mom and stepmom of seven, and she's here to really be a living inspiration and example of what's possible for women. So, Amy, welcome to the show. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. I'm like, wow, I feel so honored. You just made me sound like the most amazing person on the planet. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. You are so welcome. I'm so happy you're here. I know we've been chatting a little bit behind the scenes, and I was just so thrilled when we started chatting and connected. Y'all, I got to be a guest on her show recently, and it was such a wonderful experience. And I tell you, the power of networking and putting yourself out there, you just never know on the other side what opportunities come out of that, what people you get to meet through there. So, Amy, thank you for your yes and having me on your show. And it's the utmost privilege to have you. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about you. Take us behind the scenes. Who is Amy Sanders?
Gosh, I think Amy Sanders is a lot of women all in one, a lot of women all in one, which I think a lot of us are.
Yeah.
And first of all, I just want to shout out to you as well. Like when we met, we were like instant soul sisters. We're like, oh my gosh, I love her. We love each other. And
Yes.
networking is an amazing thing. I love doing it. I love seeing all the different people that I meet in this industry. It's been absolutely incredible. But with me, my story starts a really long time ago, which I think most people's do, where I was taught from the time I was like tiny, from the time I was a baby, just to not speak up because my voice does not matter because I'm
Mm,
a woman, and to say yes. Like, so if I have something I want to say, just, push it down, don't talk about it. And then if anyone asks me to do anything, especially if it's a man or an authority, so an authority was anyone that was older than me, you say
mm,
yes. It doesn't
okay.
matter how you feel. It doesn't matter if you do or do not want to. You say yes because that is what respect is. And that's what I was
Mm,
taught. And so, and it was so bad that like anytime after a while, when you're taught that you cannot speak up, you get scared to speak up, right?
yeah.
And so I call myself a recovering people pleaser because it still can come up. I was so amazing at people pleasing that I married a guy after 3 weeks of dating. He proposed. I did not want to say yes. I was scared out of my mind. My tummy was in knots. My heart was pounding, not because I was so excited, like he's on his knee, but because I knew that I should not marry him.
Mm,
But I was taught to say yes. Like, you say yes, that's what you do. I don't want to hurt his feelings. Like, oh my gosh, what if his feelings get hurt? I guess I should just marry him, right? I guess that's the
right.
option. Just say yes. So when he was on his knee asking me, I was like freaking out because I knew that I should not marry him. And
Hmm.
so what I did was ask my dad. I was like, "Hey, so not ask my dad. I asked him, well, did you ask my dad?
Hmm.
What did he say?" He's like, "Well, he said yes." I was like, "Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, sure." I mean, that was it. So, and I like to tell that story because from there, I went through a really horrific marriage.
Mm,
It was 11 years of just complete self-betrayal. I fell
mm,
even deeper into people pleasing, and I didn't recognize myself at all. But I was in a my religious background was that you do not divorce no matter what. You figure it out no matter what. And if you divorce, then you are labeled with a big old D on your head. You're
okay.
baggaged goods. No one's going to want
Hmm.
you. Or damaged, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, your baggage, your damaged
Hmm.
goods is what I meant. And so 3 kids and, you know, 11 years later, I finally got the courage to leave that marriage. It was very hard, but that is where, like, I turned. I know that this podcast we can talk about spirituality, right? Sometimes
Yes, we
we can't.
can.
So I'm like, I don't
Yes,
know.
absolutely.
But I am a very religious, like spiritual person, God-fearing person, and I remember just thinking, if God truly loves me, would he want me to be treated this way forever? No.
Oh,
Like, I was
okay.
like, he wouldn't want that, right? So if he loves me, then I need to do what's best for me, and it took a
Hmm.
lot of strength and courage to get out of that relationship. And it took time, right? Because that's can be a long road. If the other person does not want to divorce you, it can take even longer.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's like, I guess, Cliff Notes version. We can dive in deeper, whichever direction you want to take it. But that's where I started really rebuilding and
Hmm.
asking myself a lot of like questions like, okay, so if I say, what do I want? What is best for me? And like it just kind of took me through the self-discovery process to where everything
Mm,
started changing. And I like live this life that a lot of people dream about. And I'm
right.
like, I cannot believe like that this is absolutely possible, but everyone needs to know that this is possible, right? Like everyone needs
You're
to
right.
know that if they want to, they can completely change their stars and
Mm.
create a completely different life for themselves and for their kids. And so it's been an incredible journey, and I love sharing it, and I'm open to take it any direction that you want. Ask away.
Okay. Oh, goodness. This is absolutely incredible and so many gems. First of all, thank you for sharing that backstory because it's so important, right? One of the things I mentioned at the top of the podcast is you don't always know someone's story, right? When they're looking at you today, not everyone would immediately know that backstory or know some of the motivation behind you starting, or the woman who's going through something right now and going through a terrible divorce, or should be taking those steps to remove herself and her children away from that situation. There's freedom in knowing that somebody else could do it, right? And I know that there's so much controversy about divorce in especially the Christian faith. There's a lot of things, but in that same token of understanding, okay, God, but this is a way you've displayed to me what love looks like. And this is what you said in Ephesians about what marriage looks like. Yes, people will run and say, women, submit to your husbands. But they forget that the men are supposed to love their wives like Christ loves the church.
Amen. Yes.
Right?
And if they're not doing that, and if they're not keeping their covenants, then what are those covenants? Like, what is that?
Keyword covenant, that covenant, right? So if they cannot honor that, right, there sometimes you do need to make some really tough decisions, and for your children to look and say, okay, well, mommy stayed, so if this person does this to me in my future, maybe I should just stay, right? Because mom endured it. Surely I can too. So it's just a generational thing that we pass on. So kudos to you for making that decision, right? To walk away. And there's no timeline on it, but it's recognizing that. And so now I'd love to talk about the journey that comes after that, right? We hear so much of this, okay, I went from this like almost, I know there's better words to this, but this like rags to riches almost, right? But nobody tells you the practicality of
Wow.
how you get there, right? So can you speak to the woman who is building her business right now and she's trying to figure out, well, there's not really much cash flow. Do I get a part-time job? I've got a family to support. I have this dream, I have this desire, but I just don't know what to do right here. So maybe you could just reflect on your journey as you're advising the woman that's starting from where you were, or just starting afresh, just starting a business, feels a calling to do that.
Yeah. If she has, first of all, if you have a calling to do that, if there is something on your heart, whether it's a business or anything else, but if it is on your heart and you keep thinking about it and it's like your soul is just like yearning, then listen, because that
Hmm.
is your soul telling you that you are meant for more. That, and it's usually like you have an idea, like you're, I want to do this thing,
Yeah.
then great. It's a step-by-step process. And guess what? Entrepreneurship is up and down. Up and down. It's all
Yeah.
around. It's like the fastest self-development program you could ever enroll yourself in is like
Yes.
building a business. But with that being said, you do totally mold into a completely different version, and there will be ups and downs. And so the very most important thing, like starting out in my mind, so everything I say on here, this is Amy philosophy. To be clear, it's Amy philosophy. It's what's worked for me. So take what you love, leave what you don't. But um, having that why, I know a lot of people talk
Hmm.
about why, but having that why, it truly does need to be well defined, and it is
Hmm.
layers like of an onion. So when I ask people like, why are you doing this? And they're like, because I want a lot of money. I'm like, okay, great. Why do you want a lot of money?
Right.
Because money doesn't change anything. It's what you can do with the money. It's who you can help with the money. Like, it's like people always like, I want a lot of money. Well, why?
Hmm.
It's all these pain points that are happening in your life
Yeah.
that lessen if you had more money. And so it's like really tuning into what those pain points are so that when things get rocky, because entrepreneurship in the beginning, I mean, even I would say throughout entrepreneurship, yeah, your levels of income might increase, but it's still going to be up and down. You're still going to have
Hmm.
these glass ceilings that now it's like the next level, things get hard. You're like, oh gosh, can I make it to the next level? I don't know.
Right.
So it's like you're always on this journey. And so
Hmm.
you need to understand why you're doing it. And if it is not strong enough, when things get hard, you will not stick with it. You won't.
Nope.
It'll
Nope.
be so much easier to let go of that. But tapping back into what your soul keeps yearning to say to you, listen to that while also understanding, like peeling those onion layers of why you're truly doing this. And those
Mm.
will change. So for me in the beginning, so at this point I've created multiple businesses
Right.
and I have had a ton of failures. I wish I would have counted because I would like to know what that number is. Maybe one day I'll go back and count, but it
Hmm.
is also understanding that every single time you do something uncomfortable, like it gives you that much more strength to keep going. And
Hmm.
when something fails, there's so many nuggets of wisdom you can take out of that. And so I don't really think it's ever a failure. It's like, okay, so that didn't work. It's like test, flush, repeat, test, flush, repeat.
Yes.
It's just like, okay, so what's next? And understanding that anything is figure outable. That is like
Hmm.
the one thing I've had to completely adopt. There's even a book on it. I forget, like I know the lady who writes it. I'm forgetting her name right now, but everything truly is figure outable. If someone
Hmm.
else has done it, then that means it has been done and it is
Yes.
achievable. And so just go do it. So for me, there were like things that I tried that I pivoted. Either it didn't work for me anymore or it just wasn't bringing in the income. And so one of those things, I had a women empowerment retreat that I did, and I
Mm-hmm.
loved it. And I truly changed lives in that retreat. It was so incredible. I brought so many like amazing speakers and
Yeah.
trainers, all the things. The money, there was no money in it. Like literally. And that's on me, right? Because I was
Yeah.
not charging enough. So, but I had to learn that about myself. And that was my people pleaser. I
Yeah.
had to learn, like, oh, wait, I am doing this massive thing for all of these people, including the speakers that I'm paying very well. And at the end, I'm like not making any money.
Right.
So I have to look at that. Like there's a lot of things that you look at and you're like, okay, so is that serving me or not? Pivot. Okay,
Mm.
but did I learn from that? And then also understanding that things are going to be up and down. And so as they are, just be okay with that. Like this is not
Okay.
forever. Everyone's journey is going to look different. And
Yes.
also, like you cannot look at where you are right now on your journey and compare yourself to someone else who's been going down this road for a long time, because
Right.
that will just bring you a lot of grief. Like you're like, oh,
Lots.
I don't care what they do. I'm awful. But you're not. You're just not
Hmm.
quite, where they are yet. But that doesn't mean you're not going to get there. I'm a
Yes.
huge believer that if you just stay consistent, you will absolutely get there. I don't have them up right now, but
Mm.
I'm gonna try and like reiterate my 5 C's. Okay. I'm hoping I remember them all now that it's already getting recorded.
No
But
pressure.
no pressure. I might miss one. We'll see. But so I like to lean into the development of the 5 C's. It's like 5 C's of success in business
Hmm.
also can be your life.
Mm.
So the very first one is commitment. You have to commit to the thing, whatever that thing is. If it's building the business, like what you're doing right now is absolutely incredible. Like your take on like how you're helping the world,
Hmm.
so amazing. So and you are committed to that. I know you're committed to that, but like you
Yeah.
did commit to that.
Right.
But you got to figure out, okay, now what? What am I doing? Right? So
Right.
you commit no matter what, knowing that your brain is going to freak out. Like your brain is going to tell you all of the reasons why this isn't going to work. And anytime you come up to like a friend who, by the way, if you guys are tuning into this and you have these friends that are like, oh, why are you doing that? Oh, that's hard. Oh, that's scary. Oh, like, let's go to the spa instead. Those friends are not going to serve you when it comes to your business. So you have to find other people who will. You can keep those friends. You can go to the spa with them when you want. But I
Right.
have all of these friends that I don't talk business at all because I mean, they probably think I'm crazy town because I'm always doing 5 million things. But I'm
Right.
like, I just vibe at a different level than them. Not bad, but it's just they're not my people to talk about that kind of stuff with. And I know that
Mm.
when I do, they will take me away from my goal. So I got to talk to the people like you, right? That
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, cheering me on. People like you that believe in me. People like that's like, yeah, Amy, what you're doing is amazing. Because
Right.
some of these people, when you come up with your grand idea, they're like, you're crazy town. Like, what is happening?
Literally.
Like, oh, you're
Yes.
gonna fail. I don't want you to fail. And it truly is out of love. But so you have to, my whole point is number one is commit to
Hmm.
that. No matter what, you're going to figure it out. No matter what, when your brain goes crazy, you're going to stay the course because you have that deep why, that deep rooted why that I'm telling you will change over time. Mine totally has, but it's
Yeah.
deep rooted. It keeps me going every single day.
Mm.
So the second one is consistency. You have to stay consistent. And this is where I
Consistent.
think a lot of people fall is with entrepreneurship, things start working. And when things start working and you get momentum, you get excited. And a lot of people then kind of chill out. They're like, oh, things are
Yes.
working. Oh, I can finally
Yeah.
breathe.
Hmm.
Nope. Guess what? The things that got you to where you are the things that are going to continually get you to where you want to be. And so, and they don't have to, I'm not saying you have to work so freaking hard. You can't take a break. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm
Mm.
saying is the things that bring you the success, stay consistent.
Yes.
And if you're not seeing success yet, like the income's not where you want, you're not seeing the clients that you want, whatever that is, consistency builds over time. It's like interest.
Mm.
And so even if you're not seeing it yet, just think about, I'm doing the money making activities every single day. It'll start to work in my favor because
Yes.
numbers never lie. And
Yeah.
numbers never, ever, ever lie. But you do have to stay consistent long enough for them to work in your favor. And then
Mm.
once they are working, you have to keep doing them. Because
Yes.
otherwise your business can then start to flounder because you took some, you know, I want you to breathe. I want you to not like feel like you have to go a million miles an hour, but it's
Right.
just the consistent things that bring you the success. Success is boring usually. It's the same thing as like losing weight, eating healthy. It's the consistent things every single day, and they're usually pretty boring.
Mm-hmm.
But over time, they get you what you want.
Yes, they
So
do.
do them. And as you're building, like as you're being consistent, you start to develop courage.
Mm.
That's the third one.
Okay.
Courage is interesting because it doesn't actually feel good.
Mm.
We think about
No, it
people with a
doesn't.
lot of courage and we're like, oh, they're amazing. They're so cool. Oh, wow, she's such a strong person. Wow, she had courage to do that thing. Oh, and we might praise them. But when you're in the seat developing the courage, it feels scary. It feels hard. It's like not a good feeling. And so
Right.
usually when we start to try to develop that, we like are like, oh, never mind.
I'm gonna turn around. No good here. No, thank
This
you.
is hard. This is hard. And so that is number three.
Mm-hmm.
Number four is I'm like, what are you about over here? I might. Um, capability.
Oh.
So capability is once you're doing the thing, you've built the courage, you're like, okay, things are happening. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good. As soon as you have that capability, meaning that you're getting better at what you're doing. So this might be in your business. This might be that like you finally figure out how to make a good reel. You finally figure out how to make a good offer, like your offer stands out. Keep doing it. You now feel better doing it. So it's like staying consistent and the capability keeps you going. So once, like even with you and your business, like you've now figured out how to talk to the universities and like how to like really sell yourself. So it's like, okay, capability, it's coming, it's coming. It's okay, I can do this, right?
Yeah.
Now, it still might not feel good at
Most
times.
days.
Okay.
Most days.
And as you keep going through the capability, then breeds the confidence. And when
Right.
you're in the confident place, you can talk about your stuff. You feel really good. Your business is going. I don't know. Hopefully these 5 C's have helped.
Yeah.
But they are the things that I've lived by. I'm like, where am I at? And it's kind of an easy, like, okay, where am I at? Am I truly getting uncomfortable by working on my confidence? Am I truly doing the things that are a little bit scary? And I try
Mm.
to do something like that every single day.
Yeah.
Because if I'm doing that every single day, I'm becoming more powerful. Um, I'm gaining more power while speaking my truth, like more every single day. It's growing.
Yeah.
I have a scary meeting this afternoon and I am scared and I am so excited. I was like, bring it
Yes.
on. I'm presenting to this big company and like I met this guy like uh at a lake. He was just at this lake and he started talking about his company and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this is another thing, guys. I don't know. This is nugget of wisdom. Take what you want. But always be open to the possibility of who you meet.
Absolutely.
Right? You never know who you're going to meet. So he started talking to me about like what his company was doing. And I could have been like, that's amazing. Okay, great. We were at a lake. Like I was just sitting in a chair with my husband and
Right.
these people come up and ask us to take their picture. So we do. And then we chit chat. And next thing you know, I'm like, I could literally help. His company's full of female entrepreneurs. I'm like, I can literally help every single one of these women. They're new on the path.
Right.
So I'm like, we're booking a meeting. So anyway, the whole point is do something scary though. Like do something that's going
Yes.
to challenge you and get you uncomfortable and then see what happens. Because usually everything great's on the other side of that, right? It's like move
Mm.
through the fear, or I always like say move through the cave that you fear because the treasure you seek is inside.
That part.
So so moving through anyway, so coming back full circle, those are the things that I have done in my life to create a success. And it's multiple streams of income.
Hmm.
This might work for, I'm a huge believer in multiple streams.
Yeah.
And so as my income started increasing, I wouldn't just be excited that my bank account was getting fat. I would say, okay, so now what can we do?
Mm.
What can we do with this? And
Right.
that also felt uncomfortable because I would be like, I'm transferring all this money over here to now buy this property. This is scary. And I don't even know if this is going to work,
Right.
you know, but it's like then expanding what can be. And so I do have different sources of income, which also
Hmm.
feels really good when things get scary. Like my husband, he's had a full-time job, which I will say I am privileged. Like we've had his full-time job so that I could build our wealth. That was
Mm.
awesome. Not everyone has that. But if you can do that, it's something that you can do, right? It's awesome. But
That's my husband.
yeah,
He
so
works full time still. Yeah.
he's your stable and then you can
Yes.
build, which is an amazing thing. And if you're
Yeah.
single, you're like, I can't do that. True, but what can you do?
Mm.
Can you make deals? Can you be open to the possibility what's possible for you? Can you create new connections? Like I'm just rambling and hopefully this is okay. But when I was a single
This is
mom,
perfect.
okay, I'm like, I don't know, things are just coming out. I'm just letting them fly. When I was a single mom, I was so broke. Like I
Mm.
was so incredibly broke that a lot of people are like, you don't know what broke is. I'm like, girlfriend, I promise you do. I do. I had 3 kids and I was living on $24,000 a year. Do the math. That was not that long
Yeah.
ago. That was a few years ago. And I was living on $24,000 a year total with 3 children on my own. I wasn't living with my parents. I wasn't getting government aid because I had too much pride. I probably should have, but it was tight. It
Mm.
was really, really tight. My rent was $1,600 a month. So do the math. Do the math on
Oh,
that. There was not a lot to live on. I also had a car payment. So my whole point is I got super like curious about what I could do. I would make
hmm.
deals with my landlord. If I fix this thing, can I deduct rent? If I do this, can I deduct this?
Mm.
And I would be open to like different ways that I could make money. I ended up weirdly, I don't know, like that I was into fitness. I was a fitness instructor, all the things. But then I started fitness modeling. I didn't know that I was even cute enough to do that. Like, I don't know, right? But that came into my lap because I was creating connections of like meeting with people and talking with them. And, so
Mm.
the whole point is there's always a way, no matter what.
Hmm.
And then just keep going, no matter what.
That's it.
Things don't work, then change, shift, adapt, adjust, fill, rinse, repeat. Like, okay, so that didn't work. What's next?
What's next? Yeah.
Everything's figure.
You know, first of all, I love these 5 C's. Can we just take a moment for the 5 C's? Because you're so right. As you're going through them, I was thinking in my head, where am I with this? Where am I? Where am I today? Where am I? Where was I yesterday? Right. And tomorrow I'm going to be thinking about it of where am I compared to where I want to go. And honestly, just even hosting this podcast, I was joking the other day and I was like, this is the single most consistent thing that I have done in a very long time. And now it's a non negotiable. Every single Wednesday, this show is going out. Every single Wednesday. It doesn't matter if I completely fumbled the ball and it was a solo episode week and I recorded on Wednesday morning. Before the day ends, it's going out on Wednesdays, right? This is the consistent commitment that I made to myself, that I have now made to everyone who listens, everyone who's on the show. And I'm like, oh, I can apply this to different areas of my life, different areas of my business. So you are really on to something there. And I know you coach a lot of women, right? And then the other thing you mentioned too about the opportunities, it could be at the lake. You could have just said, enjoy the weather and kept going, right? But that conversation, that's how deals are made.
Mhm.
From these conversations, you have this level of almost like you are able to build in an immediate trust, like maybe just based off of what I'm experiencing. And you and I were talking about this before we started recording about you can usually also tell from people whether they're smiling. I had someone talking to me the other day. They were smiling, but there's something about their smile that seemed like they were sneering. And it was so disingenuous. So I think they were
Yeah.
really trying, but in my heart of hearts, I was like, Holy Spirit, you're telling me this is not it.
Mm-mm.
This is not in alignment. That is like all my bells were going. And I tried to doubt myself for a second. And then the smile came that looked like a sneer. And I was like, oh,
No.
okay, you know?
Yeah.
So it happens on the opposite when you're connecting with someone and they can just, okay, just maybe this woman I just met at the lake, she can actually help turn things around. So I appreciate you just sharing that depth of insight and finding things to do, right? Even when you don't have that stable support, like you and I have that privilege to
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
what can you do? We all have some kind of skill set. One of my favorite activities is working with students. We talk about that skill development. Let's start there. What do you have? Don't worry about what you didn't get, what internship you didn't have, but what skill set do you actually have? And then we start there. So, Amy, there's so many things, so many different directions, and I feel like we're going to need a part two
I
of
think we're gonna need a part two. Yeah, for
we're
sure.
definitely going to need a part two. But I do want to ask, second to last question here. Um, can you talk about recognizing, needing, and asking for help?
Mm,
Because
yeah.
as women, so often we want we want to accomplish so much to be able to say we're the busiest, to be able to say we have this goal of being the busiest mom, fullest calendar. But one of my students once told me that there's no first class prize for running yourself into the ground.
I love that so much.
I love it. And I quote him forever and ever until then. And when you say you ask someone, when you're talking to your clients about their goal and their why, for me, I'm like, part of my why is I want to make money. Why? So I can outsource as much as possible.
Absolutely. It's so great. Having a VA is the best thing I ever did.
A VA, I want a house manager, I want a regular house cleaner, like all the things. So can you talk to that? Because that wasn't always my mindset. And I kept trying to figure out, well, can I afford it? Should I be able to do this? Oh, that's a luxury. How dare I? Oh, that's my job as a mom. That's my job as a business owner. Why should I outsource that?
I love this so much, and I think it's mostly because I was the worst at it for the longest time. I've come
Yeah.
a long way. uh, First of all, so I've completely shifted the way I look at things.
Hmm.
There's certain things that I absolutely will always love to do.
Yeah.
And those things are the things that I want to do. I love to create. So let's make sure I'm in the energy of creating.
Yeah.
I also love to be a mom. So if my kid needs a ride and I can, I'm going to go get him. And my
Yeah.
husband's like, you don't do that. You're so busy. I want to. And when
Yes.
there's a whole household of kids that are in my car and I'm dropping them off at places, I want to do that. Like that
Hmm.
feels good to me. I love that part of my role of motherhood. So do it. But when you have a lot of hats, which I do wear a lot of hats, I own multiple businesses. I have 7 kids, 3 of my own, 4 stepkids, which means that there's also exes. Like we have a very complicated life.
Right.
However, you can still achieve everything that you want to and be there for the people that you love most. And that's
Mm.
number one. So, like, my lifestyle that I wanted to create that we are now living was initially because of how far away I was from that when I had my little kids. We were
Yeah.
so, I wanted an amazing life for them. But with that, as you get busier, you do need to outsource. And I was
Mhm.
terrible at it. I was like the bottleneck of every single business. And I was looking at my businesses and I was like, wait, oh shoot, it's me. I'm the problem in every single one. Like crap. But
Yeah.
now when I say I've shifted it, it's been an amazing shift. I have
Hmm.
a cleaner that cleans my house. It's a group of women actually, and they are the best cleaners in the valley. I
Yeah.
don't care if they're more expensive. I can pay them, which also means that I've created some jobs for them, right?
Yes.
That's power. And I don't have to do the things I don't want to do. I don't want to clean the toilets. I don't have time for that. They actually like it and they do a fabulous job. Let them. So in some of my businesses, I have a dance studio, so I have dance
Mhm.
instructors, I have a dance manager. Awesome. When my swim, like anyway, I can go through the businesses. We don't really need to because we're gonna run out of time. But ultimately, as I started hiring out help,
Mhm.
I realized that so many people are better, like more brains are better than one.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people heard this. I learned it the hard way. But as you have more income and you can pay more people, you're creating more jobs, which I think is power. And
Yes.
also, then you're able to do more. So I can go take my kids when they have something, I can go take them. I
Mhm.
can't go on the fancy vacations because when I leave, things are still running. And if
Right.
it was all on me, that wouldn't work. And it didn't work. I was the bottleneck. And because I've learned that, like having a VA that I just shoot a text to, hey, can you do this? And she just handles it. And by the way, better than me because she's more organized than me. Cool. It's
Yeah.
incredible, right? And then it became even so the less decisions you have to make in your life. This is like another big lesson I learned
Mm.
is we only have so many decisions we can make.
Right.
And there's not power in being strung out. I'm sorry, there's not. And
Huh.
when I'm that way, I'm not a great mom. And ultimately, that like I want to be an amazing wife and I want to be an amazing mom. Those are number one. And I want to create this amazing life for the people I love most. And with that, I also want to show women that it's possible and help them also create that for themselves because that's powerful.
Mm.
But you have to let go of the things that don't serve you. Sometimes you have to say no to things that you don't want to do. And that's just being true to yourself. And then as you do that, things start to land, they fall in place, and you now have more to give. So when you make
Yes.
decisions, because other people are making decisions, you have more to give in the areas where you are more of a genius or where you want to spend your time. And with
Mm.
that said, so I told you I was a fitness trainer. Okay. I was a fitness trainer for over 20 years. I
Mm.
have 30. I'm one of those that feels like I guess more is more. I don't know. I got 30 certifications plus a bachelor's degree in it. Say, my whole point is I know what I'm doing when it comes to fitness and health and nutrition.
Right.
I hired a nutritionist. I know how to eat because I didn't want to make the decision. So
Right.
every single week, she sends me my meal plans for the week. I go online, I order my groceries, they come right to my door, and then I'm set for the week. I don't have to decide the
Yes.
whole week for my entire family what to eat. That to me is worth it and power. Even though, could I do that for myself? Absolutely. I don't
Sure.
want, right? Same thing with like running. I've been running marathons for over 20 years. I
Mm.
don't want to figure out my running workout plan. I have a running coach. Do I need one? No. I certified it all of that. But I
Yeah.
did it because of the power that it can give you. And the less decisions you have to make and asking for help, it
Mm.
gives other people opportunity to serve. It gives you more space. And then you can do more with that. It's so much better. And I just want to preach to the choir, like, just do it as soon as you can, even if it's like a really cheap VA or something. If you're feeling strung out, you need more help, ask your husband. It's okay to ask your husband. It's okay to ask your kids. My kids all have jobs. They all work like jobs within the home. It's
Right.
like they all have things and responsibilities they have to do because lightens everybody's load. It should not all fall on us women. It does not
No.
need to. And when you do it, it feels great. It teaches them how to work.
It really, really does. And I appreciate you just giving that insight, right? Because now, I mean, we have a global network of people who can assist us in so many things. There was a landing page I needed to create, and I just kept sitting on it. Honestly, the time to figure it out, I didn't have. Guess what? Somebody actually found me. So I'm like, Lord, you heard my prayer. Because every morning I wake up and say, okay, I just need more help. I cannot do this every day. So there's somebody working on that landing page. They're creating that blog that I've been holding on to content for and just have not been doing, right? But all of that, a VA, I've finally going to bring my a VA back on because I just don't want to have to think about it. So, it's absolutely amazing. And Amy, I just really appreciate just the time and insight you have given and just being so open, right? You are truly a living inspiration and example for what women can do. And how do other women get in touch with you? How do they get connected?
Yeah, just easiest way is probably Instagram or my website, which Instagram's just Coach Amy Sanders. That's it. Coach Amy Sanders, spelt the American way. And then my website is amysanders.co. Same way. So that's
Okay.
yeah.
That is perfect. So I'm going to link all of those links in the show notes. You're going to be able to connect with Amy directly through there, follow her, listen to her podcast, see what's happening over there. And until next Wednesday, thank you so much for being a part of this. Take care. Can't wait to hear all your thoughts. Let us know. If you want to see Amy and I, we are going to be on YouTube. This podcast will be, or otherwise, take us on the go with you on Spotify, as well as Apple Podcasts. Until next Wednesday, take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.